In Orland Park's form of government, the village manager controls hiring, staffing, contracting, and much of what the public sees or doesn't see. So the administration's first major move was bringing back George Kuczwara, someone who had already appeared publicly supporting Mayor Dodge. And once he was in that role, the mayor had a direct path to staffing and operational decisions without going through the board. Because in this form of government, almost everything runs through the village manager. This video brings all of those stories together so you can see the pattern for yourself. Over the next 6 months, the village approved a series of hires, contracts, and appointments involving people with political connections, prior ties, or unusually limited public documentation. Starting with George Kuczwara's return wasn't part of a normal hiring process. It was added to a last-minute special meeting, with no job posting and no interviews. Trustees who were already on the board before the election were familiar with his disciplinary history, information that should have been part of the discussion before the new trustees were asked to vote on his appointment. It's also worth noting the ICMA, a National Professional Association for City and Village Managers, has an ethical code that prohibits its members from taking part in political campaigns. George Kuczwara was previously an ICMA member, but he is no longer listed as one. And with the appointment approved in a single meeting, there was no opportunity to consider alternatives. From there, major staffing and contracting decisions began almost immediately. The first was a new PR contract. Shortly after the village manager's appointment, the village brought forward a new $60,000 public relations contract with Publicity Communications, a firm operated by Nebeha Zegar. The proposal included minimal documentation, no competitive bid, and no explanation of how the firm had been chosen. At his inaugural board meeting, Mayor Dodge acknowledged that Zegar had been part of his campaign team, publicly thanking her work on his behalf. Village records obtained later show that during her time as a village employee, Zegar received documented disciplinary notices for performance issues, followed by her termination. A termination signed by George Kuczwara. Despite these concerns, the contract was approved on a split vote. The most pressing concern with the village's legal appointments came from one firm in particular, Ansel Glink. Public records show that Ansel Glink represented Mayor Dodge as a candidate during last fall's electoral board hearings. During the meeting, trustees noted this conflict and recommended that the mayor abstain from voting on the firm's appointment.
First of all, it seems like the appearance of a conflict of interest is important. And a quid pro quo, because I don't know if those fees were paid in a practice. So I just have sincere things about this conflict of interest that would presumably preclude the mayor, at least a mayor, from not participating in it. And I recommend that he doesn't. And
Mayor Dodge voted in favor anyway, leaving the potential conflict unaddressed. At the same time, trustees were told that the firm's billing rates and proposals were being deliberately withheld from the public.
The public will see the pricing as soon as we can enter into contracts with them. But right now, we want that pricing, we wanted to keep that kind of element for our negotiating power.
The full set of legal appointments was approved in a single bundled vote. That same vote also selected former trustee and Mayor Dodge's prior running mate, Dan Calandriello, as the village prosecutor. Another significant staffing move involved the village's therapy dog program, a program that had been publicly praised for years. In June, the village told longtime handler Rich Miller that he was not meeting part-time hour requirements and had taken the therapy dog program too far. But Miller's service logs showed he and Leo were still attending funerals, crisis calls, school visits, senior centers, and community events, right up to the week he resigned. Weeks later, the village rolled out a restructured program, now assigning the therapy dog to a sworn police officer, a role tied to the union that endorsed Mayor Dodge. That officer is the mayor's nephew, a detail the village did not disclose in its announcement. A low-cost, community-based program was dismantled and replaced with a family member. The village added a new position, the outreach coordinator, included in Budget Amendment Number 2. The position went to Dean Casper, a longtime political ally of the mayor, his former campaign manager and treasurer. FOIA responses produced nearly 200 pages about the hire, almost all of them fully redacted, and the few pages that weren't, the job description and Casper's resume, didn't match. The role emphasized public engagement and communication strategy. His resume did not. We covered the full story in a separate investigation, but the bottom line is this: a newly created village role, filled by a close political connection with major questions about qualifications and transparency. The village also brought on an intern reporting to the new outreach coordinator. The role went to David Karpinski, whose background is political rather than municipal. Karpinski previously worked on Congressman Sean Casten's campaign, and one of the images used in Mayor Dodge's own campaign materials shows Dodge and Casten conferring at a public event. It's another example of a partisan political background entering a village administrative role. Another major move came during the September 22nd special meeting, when eminent domain ordinances for the former KFC and BP sites appeared without prior discussion. A tenant told the board he had already been contacted by village staff before trustees had even debated the ordinances, raising questions about who authorized that outreach. And on that same night, the board removed Commissioner John Nugent. Trustees said they wanted fresh faces on the Plan Commission, and then immediately appointed Kathy Fenton, a former trustee of more than 30 years, and the chair of the Political Action Committee that supported Mayor Dodge's campaign. The timing, eminent domain on the agenda, and a politically aligned replacement on the commission intensified concerns about how key decisions were being shaped. Then the village also moved to hire Matthew O'Shea Consulting, Inc. as a dedicated lobbyist for $60,000 a year, a major change in direction for Orland Park. Until now, the village did not employ a lobbyist. It participated with surrounding communities as part of a shared regional voice in Springfield. But O'Shea was not just any consultant. Campaign filings show he provided a $10,000 in-kind contribution to Mayor Dodge's political slate earlier this year. Within months, the campaign's consultant was positioned to become the village's paid lobbyist. And the staff recommending the hire were the village manager, who campaigned for Dodge, and the outreach coordinator, who served as the campaign's treasurer. And once again, campaign roles flowed directly into village roles and village contracts. In just a few months, Orland Park saw a series of moves that reshaped the village's administrative and political landscape. A village manager who had publicly campaigned for the mayor, a PR contractor with campaign ties, a new village attorney chosen from a firm that had previously represented the mayor in election matters, a former trustee and political supporter as the new prosecutor, a new outreach coordinator who served as campaign treasurer, and an intern with a purely political background assigned directly under him. A therapy dog program dismantled and reassigned to the mayor's nephew, a former campaign consultant positioned to become the village's paid lobbyist. Eminent domain ordinances introduced suddenly. The same night, a long-serving plan commissioner was removed and replaced with the chair of the PAC that backed the mayor. Sadly, as long as this video is, we know this list is not exhaustive. Taken together, they form a clear picture: a rapid consolidation of staffing, contracting, messaging, and advisory power, aligned closely with the mayor's political circle. And in the new 2026 budget, the village moved to expand staffing even further, adding full-time positions, upgrading others, and increasing administrative capacity across multiple departments. And with so many new roles being added in the 2026 budget, it's impossible not to notice how quickly the village's staffing footprint is growing. Given the pattern we've already seen in this administration's hires and appointments, it's understandable to wonder who will ultimately fill these new positions, and how closely they may align with the mayor's political circle.